Pathmonk is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in the buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50% by adding Pathmonk to your website in seconds, letting the artificial intelligence do all the work, and increase conversions while you keep doing. All right, welcome to today's episode of Pathmonk Presents, everyone. Let's talk about today's guest. Today we are joined by Derek Rasmussen. He's the marketing director at Outdoor Vitals. Derek, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Of course. So let's start with the basics, Derek. What's the big idea behind Outdoor Vitals? And if you were explaining it to a friend over coffee, or how would you describe it to what you do?
Yeah, so Outdoor Vitals, we are an outdoor gear company. We design ultralight performance gear for the backcountry. Kind of what that means is, we focus on backpacking, gear for backpacking. And obviously that's got to be as lightweight as possible to be as comfortable as possible. But we don't believe that weight is the only or the necessarily the number one factor in performance. So we focus on performance first. So performance first, ultralight gear. Our big mantra is getting people outside. We just want to help people have gear that performs, that they can be confident in, and that they really are enabled to spend more time outdoors. We truly believe that any person, if you spend time outdoors, it'll help you mentally, emotionally, physically, and that's what we're about, just helping people do that.
That's a really good message. I think we don't spend as much time outdoors now. Unrelated, but somewhat related. I think there's a study I just heard about today, listening to a podcast, that kids these days get as much, if not less, outdoor time or time playing outside as prisoners in jail or prison. So that's kind of worrying. And I think companies like yours are actually spreading the message, let's get out, right? So that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
I think it's a
exactly.
great message. I'm curious, which type of customers are the best fit for your product? Obviously, there's the outdoor type, I think, that fits within that. But what kind of, I guess, in a way, what key problems do you help them solve, and how does that impact their shopping experience?
So there are a couple of products that we have that appeal to outdoor enthusiasts in general, but our specific niche is ultralight backpackers. We have a lot of different product lines from ultralight apparel to tents to backpacks or sleeping bags. And all of it is kind of a little bit higher end. And so typically the best customer for our gear are those that are spending a decent amount of time in the backcountry, hiking and backpacking. And they're willing to spend a little bit more to have gear that truly performs. Um, for a lot of people, if you're, only going out once or twice a year on a weekend camping trip, yeah, some of the gear you might find at, the local, big box store is going to be good enough, and it's typically lower price and whatnot. But our stuff is like I said, it's very performance driven for backcountry athletes, ultralight backpackers, through hikers, guys that are taking, 4 to 6 months off out of the year just to through hike, like the Appalachian Trail is one, or the Pacific Crest Trail. Those are more of our avatars, and where our gear shines is in those kind of, put it to good use kind of applications in the backcountry where people are in some pretty extreme scenarios. But that being said, like I mentioned at the start, there are lots of gear items that we do have that really appeals to anybody, and we do firmly believe that any of our stuff can help anyone spend more time outdoors comfortably and more confidently.
Okay, that's interesting. Um, I'm curious, and this is getting more technical, but you're the marketing director, so I'm sure our audience will be interested in this also because there will be marketers out there, founders, e-commerce owners, and whatnot. So, what's the what's your most effective customer acquisition channel right now that you're seeing and that's really performing? And how have you optimized it to drive consistent sales?
Yeah, the best and most consistent channel for customer acquisition for us is definitely paid advertising, specifically
Mm.
on Meta and a little bit on Google as well. Um, and not just like running ads to our products, but specifically the best way to do that with paid advertising is by running giveaways, where all of our ads are just saying, "Hey, enter to win this free item." All you got to do is enter your email, and we get a lot of people clicking over, coming over to our website, and then entering our giveaway through a form. And from there, we're pretty effective at using Klaviyo in our follow-up emails to getting these people through a buying process, a purchaser journey. But in terms of getting new leads and then engaging with those new leads to turn them into customers, yeah, starting out with a giveaway has been wildly successful for us, especially
Okay.
compared to a lot of other channels.
Yeah. Oh, and that's interesting. Is there anything about it you think that really works or
Yeah. So one of the things that I mean, we picked this up from somebody we were talking to a year or two ago, where a lot of companies when they run giveaways, they're tempted to just give away some of their best products. But the downside of that is that you're de-incentivizing people to actually shop from you because they want to wait to see if they won, that
Hmm.
hero product for free, and so they don't buy a lot of them, anyways. But if you can partner up with another brand and give away their gear or their product for free, but still related to your products, um, that's kind of a little bit more successful in terms of when you want to start getting those new leads to purchase from you. They're not waiting per se to win your gear for free because they're not going to get your gear for free. They're going to get that partner brand's gear for free at the end of the
Right.
giveaway. And so that's worked pretty well for us. And especially, in our niche, there's a lot of qualifiers that work. Um, so our current giveaway, we're running one right now, running some ads to it, is a Garmin InReach. There's a new messenger device that Garmin has come out with,
Hmm.
and that works well for us for a couple of different reasons. One, it's not Outdoor Vitals branded gear. It's not any of our apparel, any of our backpacks or anything like that. But two, typically people that know what a Garmin InReach messenger device is are the people that are going to be interested in outdoor gear as well. If you don't know what a Garmin InReach GPS messenger or satellite communication device is, you probably haven't spent that much time outdoors. You haven't really worried about, leaving cell service and needing to communicate with your family or possibly needing to alert, emergency teams if you get into an accident miles away from the nearest road. Um, so yeah, if you know what that GPS or that satellite communication device is, that's a qualifier. And so we're not only bringing in new leads, but we're bringing in new qualified leads because they know what this thing is that we're giving away. They're already involved in some degree in the outdoors. And so they're a lot more ready to purchase some of our gear that we then follow up with in retargeting ads or our follow-up emails.
Right. Well, that's clever because I don't know about the specific device exactly, but I was shopping for a Garmin, for running, right? And
Yeah.
it can get pretty expensive, right? So in a way, I think if you do that, and obviously it's related to your niche, and the industry, but if you do that, people that are interested in that and know what it is, as you say, are also probably more willing to spend on gear that's in line with that, right? So could be your top sellers or, your highest ticket value items in a way, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm off, but I'm thinking that's also part of the strategy there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit here, Derek. I want to talk about you as a leader. So, what does a typical workday look like for you? So, obviously working for an outdoors kind of gear company, I'm sure there'll be some interesting things, but what are the main things that you focus on day to day?
Some of the main things are all driven by specific KPIs. A lot of times I put any of my daily tasks through a filter of, hey, how does this contribute to the key performance indicators that I'm focusing on right now? Right now, we're focusing on new customer acquisition, and so we're really keeping track of the new customer count in a given time period. And so the daily tasks, when I get in the office, I'll look at, hey, does this actually contribute to acquiring new customers, or does this contribute to increasing our return on ad spend or bringing in more revenue or raising profits? Then, a lot of times those tasks just kind of get swept under the rug. And I really only focus on those tasks that make an impact. And so that's the first filter. So with that being said, a lot of things I actually spend time on are copywriting in our emails. Like I said, when we're, running these lead campaigns, we want to make sure our emails are very effective. So I'm messing around with AI. I'm running different drafts and testing different things, A/B testing, and just writing a lot of copy in our email account. And then I'm also spending a lot of time in ads doing the same thing, testing different creatives and copywriting to, appeal to our target customers. Our company is a little bit unique in that we also have some organic acquisition channels. We have our own podcast, it's a Live Ultralight podcast, and we also have a few YouTube channels. One is pretty much just for educating the customer on our gear, and another one is a YouTube channel dedicated to our founder and follows him around, the trips and adventures that he's going on, why he founded the company in the first place, all kinds of video content like that. And so sometimes I'll spend some time curating some of those videos or planning and executing those videos or those podcasts with my team. I don't necessarily spend a lot of time on production or editing, but I do spend a decent amount of time planning. And then I have regular weekly meetings with my team just so that we're all rowing in the same direction, if you will, kind of syncing on, hey, these are the focuses for this month. We've got maybe a product launch next month, and everybody gets lined up on what we need to do. And then once a month, our team does do backpacking trips as a team. So we're not just a bunch of suits sitting in an office designing gear. We are backpackers designing for backpackers. We get it. We're using it probably more than anybody else. Collectively, we spend hundreds of thousands of hours out on the trail between all of our team members and the amount of time outside we spend as a company. And not just as a company, but all of our directors, the founder, the departmental leaders and directors especially are spending a lot of time in the outdoors developing testing gear and just, understanding our avatar, because we are the avatar. So
yes,
part of the time in the office, part of the time my office is the mountain. So it kind of depends on the day.
that sounds awesome. To be honest, I was gonna ask if you didn't mention anything about outdoor retreats or anything like that. I would have found it hard to believe that you guys didn't, but sounds like, you live by that really, just, being outdoors and testing the product, really understanding, what works, what doesn't, and that's a way to better understand your customers too, right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
if you don't know anything about the product, then it's going to be hard relating to the issues they might experience, the use cases or anything of that. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, like we have a focus on just performance. So um, we have a performance promise where we guarantee that, any of our gear is going to perform as advertised in the application that we've designed it for. And so we'd spend a lot of time honing in our gear to make sure that it's the best performing in a given situation that we can possibly develop. A lot of other companies, when they're developing a product, they work a lot off of fixed timelines to say, hey, we want to launch something for our winter line. So it has to be out, by this certain date. So it's a part of our winter line. We don't do that. When we're developing gear, we decide, hey, it needs to work for this situation, for this use case. And we will test it and we will develop it and we will create more prototypes until it is ready. We don't say, hey, it has to be out by the winter, or it has to be part of our summer collection. No, it's all based on performance. And when we truly feel it is performing at a level that we're confident in, and that's when we launched stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of time and a lot of iteration, but I think the end result is definitely worth it.
Well, if you want to do things right, you have to do right things, right? So that's how you get to it. I think when you spend more time, you'll have less returns. You'll have, more happy customers, returning customers. So yeah, I think that's very clever approach.
Yeah, exactly.
Derek, since we're coming towards the end of the interview, I want to jump here into our rapid fire questions. Now, the only unspoken rule we have is that only short and crisp answers are needed. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So, what's the latest book you've picked up?
Latest book is The Retention Point by Robert Scrabb.
Nice. Okay. This is one for our audience, for myself also. I haven't read that one, so it goes into the reading list. So, if you had a magic wand and you could fix one frustrating thing in your marketing life with tech, because obviously, we always relate with tech, what would it be?
That's a tough question. But if I could fix one thing or just have it be automated, it would probably be a lot of the iterations for ad content. There's always something new to test, and if that could be magically done for me, that would be wonderful.
Okay, that's a good one. If you could go back and give your past self a quick pep talk at the start of your marketing journey, what kind of advice would you drop?
Spend more time in things that move the needle and less time in things that don't. There's a lot of
Hmm.
people that waste too much time in vanity metrics, but if your main goal as a company is increase revenues or acquire new customers, only do things that are going to increase revenue and only do things that are going to acquire new customers. Don't worry about, everything else like the YouTube channel or whatever else it is.
Right. It's easy to get distracted, right? So I guess, what I understand from that is just keep the main thing, right? As it's
Yeah.
cliche, but it's true, and focus, right? You have to keep that focus. And it's not easy many times because some things will distract you, but you got to keep on the right track in that sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, Derek, I want to thank you for being on the show with us today. I also want to give you the last word. So, if someone forgets everything about the interview today, what's the one thing that they should remember about the work you guys are doing?
Well, the one thing that I hope someone remembers is that, going outside is going to improve your physical, mental, and emotional health. I really believe that. Even if you don't buy from me, that's fine. We're not a company just to make money. Obviously, as a company, we have to, but
Mhm.
kind of our mission is to get people outside. And I know that our world as a whole is going to be better if people can take the time to disconnect, to really unplug and improve themselves a little bit. So yeah, take some time, go outside, get rid of the phone for a bit. Don't sit in front of the TV for sacrifice a couple hours. You'll be fine. I promise. It'll actually be way better. So that's the one thing is go outside a little bit more and take the time to disconnect.
Beautiful. I love it. And look, if you're listening to this and maybe you're already outside walking, I know I do a lot of podcast listening on my walks, right? Um, But if you want to binge on a podcast, I hope it's Batman Presents. And if you do that for the next episode of whatever it is, then go out for a walk and spend time outdoors. I couldn't agree more. That's a beautiful message, Derek.
Well, thanks for having me on the podcast. I've enjoyed it.
Of course. All right. I hope to see you again soon, Derek, and I'll see you next time.
All right. Yeah, we'll see you later. Thanks.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.